And welcome back to the CSS podcast. I'm your host, Dave Wolferson. Right there, the gentleman in the middle is Charlie Crawley tonight. We are without Sam tonight. He's out celebrating his wife's birthday. So happy birthday to Angelique. And, it's great for them to be back here in the area so that she can celebrate with her family as well. So this is episode number 69, the Crosstown Shootout edition. We've got a lot of good things to talk about. One of the things that, we normally are a Cincinnati sports scene, but we might go out a little bit tonight since it's just Crawley and I, and talk a little bit about the Ohtani money and the deferred payments, what that does to baseball. If it's a good thing, it's a bad thing, what it does to the small. He's got the UC shirt on. We saw that. So
no, I'm on my. If you don't know, everyone, I'm on my phone, so it's like completely like in a weird world right
now.
So
he's all little. Yeah. But we'll talk a little bit about the Ohtani contract, and then maybe we'll talk about the penalty. Because we love when Kansas City loses. So we might talk a little bit about that. But. We'll start it off with the week that was. Let's go ahead and just recap the Crosstown Shootout.
You're doing the Xavier side, so you got the floor.
Yeah, I got the floor. Yeah, so Xavier came victorious, 84-79. A couple things. I actually got to watch the game. I'm glad it was on Fox Sports. I was out in Colorado visiting my daughter. She graduated from her master's program, so congratulations to her. We were out there celebrating and got an opportunity to actually watch the game. It's kind of nice because it comes on 2 hours earlier out in Colorado than it does here in Cincinnati. So, watching the game, the first 3 minutes of the game set the tone when the Xavier's big got on and just wrestled the ball away from UC's big on that jump ball. And that sort of just set the toughness tone. And, UC, Xavier, the crowd was in it. The guys were pumped up. They played more collectively together than I've seen from them in the past. And, they hit some shots, got up early, but then UC came storming back at after half, took the lead. And then, Xavier hit some shots down the stretch, made a few threes. Oliveira, I'm sorry. He hit some big shots for him. Took the leadership role on, limited their turnovers, out rebounded UC. And, they played probably their best game that they played all year. And you can say what you want. That's 5 straight now for the Muskies over the Bearcats, and I know the Bearcats have been down a little bit. And I don't know. You look at UC fans versus Xavier fans, and Xavier fans, we run the city here. We run the 513. UC fans were like, yeah, whatever. We got bigger fish to fry. We're in the Big 12 now, and we want to play for national titles. That's your Super Bowl. That kind of thing. The trash talk that goes with it. But the one thing you can't deny is I think Xavier hopefully will be finding their way. But I think UC will still be fine. I think, it was a lot of new kids on the UC roster, same with Xavier, but having, being in that atmosphere, people know now what to expect for next year.
Yeah, I mean, my take away from the whole thing is just why, like why does UC just shrivel when they go against Xavier? And the thing is it's not a 2023, 2022 issue. I mean, you go back to Lenny Brown making shots and then, and like, and I definitely think back then it was definitely Xavier's Super Bowl. I mean, that was
right.
I mean, they could win that game and lose every other one. And they would have been not happy, but they would have, acted like all that, the greatest thing ever. Whereas at that point, UC was, definitely the big dog. And Xavier was, that was not that important. I mean, it was important, but mentally not as much. And today, I mean, the Big East is a top conference. I mean, you're not, they got, they got the, national champion from last year. They got, Villanova won a few not too long ago. I mean, we're talking the top, 6 kind of conference. So, I think a little bit of it, again, I'm just looking for what happens. I think UC is better than Xavier. Based, this year, I think they're more complete. They just didn't play well. I mean, Xavier played better. I mean, bottom line, Xavier deserved to win the game because they just played better. They shot the ball better. And I mean, you see 3 of their starters, Skillings is their 6th man. They combined for 2 points out of Skillings, CJ Frederick, and I'm drawing a blank because the other guy that usually scores better. Oh, Silas. Now Silas got hit by a car like 10 days before, so he does have a legitimate excuse.
Was that a Xavier fan?
It probably was. Yeah, it probably was. Yeah, check that license plate. Yeah. So they got 2 points from those 3 guys, and I mean, UC, if they get 2 points from those 3 guys, is going to have a tough time beating Bryant tonight. So
yeah,
I'd be pretty confident to say they will get more than 2 points combined from those 3 guys. I guess my over and 3 guys would be 25 for tonight's game.
And the other thing is too, Larkin did not score very many.
I mean, Larkin,
yeah, not Larkin.
Larkin was announcing.
Yeah, so. That's right. Yeah, Larkin.
UC could have used Byron Larkin tonight.
Yeah, he probably could have. Yeah, but he didn't score.
He scored 2 in the first half, 17 in the second.
17 in the second. But if he scores any in the first half, I think that could be.
Well, he had 3 fouls in the first half. He was a mess in the first half. I mean, Jizzle James scored more than half the points.
He looked
without
good.
him. I mean, UC would have lost by 20, So, yeah, I mean, and maybe it's all grasping for straws as to what the explanation is. I think this year a little bit. I think Wes Miller's scheduling this year factored in. I mean, UC hadn't played anybody.
Right.
Before they played Xavier, and then they go on the road to Cintas to try to play him. So, I mean, Xavier had played like a legitimate, a tough schedule. I mean, Houston, Purdue. I mean, you're talking 2 of the top 10 teams in the country. They'd played Purdue on the road, right? That was
correct.
A road game.
That was a road game.
Purdue was number 1 at that point, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
Yeah. So, I mean, they had experienced, what a big time atmosphere was, and I mean, UC struggled playing Howard, on the road. So, so I think that played into it a little bit. I don't know for sure, but that's just me looking for some reason as to how why they just played so poorly. And I feel like every time they play Xavier, they get down in the first 10 minutes of the game. And every time, they're down 8 points or down 10 points. They're down, just they cannot get up on them. And I think that's. They're always trying to fight back, which they did in the second half. They caught them as bad as they played. I mean, that's the thing. Xavier played really, really well the whole game. UC played pretty crappy the entire game, and they still caught him in the second half.
Right.
They just that Oliveri dude just hit, went on a freaking, close my eyes and I can, close my eyes from 30 feet and make a couple shots kind of stuff. So, and UC didn't have anybody that did that. So, So Xavier deserved the game. I'm not making excuses for UC. They deserve to lose. I just don't know why they just cannot, they cannot get up. Last few years, I get it. Xavier had to, by far the more talented team over the last, 3-4 years. The Brandon first couple Wes Miller years, but this year I think UC is more talented than Xavier. And Xavier has all these new players. So everybody always says, well, you have all these new players. Well, Xavier had more new players than UC did. I mean, Xavier's one returning player was a freshman last year. So, I mean, they have a whole new team, and it's been showing this whole season. That's the thing. It's not like they came in 8-0, that they were rolling with all these new players.
Yeah,
I mean,
lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, and to
at
lower tier teams.
Right. At home.
So they just come off of losing to Delaware.
Right.
So yeah. So today or this year was a mystery to me. I just didn't get it. I was shaking my head the whole game, and we'll see what happens. Sean Miller's a great coach. Xavier's going to be a good team as the year goes on. We'll see what happens when they get to the Big East, because the Big East will be pretty good this year, as usually. But I think they're maybe even extra good this year. And I think UC will be okay, but it will be interesting, in the Big 12, and where you're literally, you don't have an off night. You're not playing Duquesne's and Delaware's and Bryant's anymore, and even the lower level Big East teams. The Big East has definitely a lower floor than the Big 12 in terms of who the bottom feeder teams are.
Yeah,
there is no really bottom feeder teams in the Big 12, so this should be interesting. They could, if they go 500 or above, they're probably in the tournament. So
yeah, I don't know how good UCF is.
Yeah, they're probably the bottom feeder, but
but
I think they have. So
yeah,
but
BYU is pretty good.
BYU's in the top 20 right now.
Yeah. So Xavier had their player-only meeting after the loss to Delaware, which rightly so, and a couple of guys stepped up and said that we got to hold each other more accountable. We have to start bonding a little better. We have to get to know the freshmen and all the other kids, and that's something, the leadership aspect is what Xavier was missing, and it showed in the shootout that Oliveri and a couple of other guys stepped up, wanted to take on that leadership role. And, I guess the question where, what we have for both Xavier and UC is, where does each team go from here? Is this a game that propels Xavier forward? Or is this a game that UC now hits a skid?
We're not going to know till January when they start playing the Big 12. So,
right.
Their next four teams are pretty, they're, Bryant, Merrimack, Stetson, and
they got Dayton. They got Dayton.
Evansville. Oh, yeah, Dayton. Yeah, Dayton, they play next weekend. So,
right.
Dayton will be good. That should be a good game. Dayton, I think, is got some talent, and they're one of the better A-10 teams, and and it's not an away game, but at least it's neutral from the standpoint of, they got to play at least on a different court. They're not playing at the, the Shoemaker Fifth Third, which they're used to those rims. So we'll see. I think they'll both ultimately be successful. I think the success, I think Xavier's expectations, because of their few last years in the Big East, were probably a little higher. Like I said, is Xavier happy with 500 in the Big East? Whereas I think UC would be happy with 500 in the Big 12.
Yeah, I would agree there. But we'll see. That's why they play the games, and that's important. And I think getting this win will be a confidence booster for the Muskies, especially going on the road here. And they open up in a couple of weeks with I don't know if it's not Nova, UConn and St. John, I think, is who they open up with in the Big East. And with St. John, bringing Rick Pitino back, you never know what he's going to do. So we'll see. So yes, we did say the next games for UC is Bryant tonight, and then Dayton on Saturday, and then Xavier plays Winthrop on Saturday. All right, moving on to the Cincinnati Reds. They had a free agent signing. You probably heard about it. Candelario signed for 3 years, $45 million. The take from that is, for me at first, I wasn't real happy with the signing, I guess. I think just because 45 mil frontline pitcher we needed, and then is this going to take playing time away from the rookies or the young guys, which I don't know if it will or not, and that's to be seen. Listening to Nick Kroll talk, saying that we wanted flexibility, we wanted people to be able to play multiple positions. There's enough at bats to go around in David Bell's lineup, because David Bell loves to have options to throw out there. But I don't know. I think the thing that 15 mil, and I know you and I talked when the signing actually happened, that's the going price. But the going price for a 243 hitter, lifetime hitter, his split.
But he's been better than that the last 3 years.
252. I mean, 252 last year is what his average was.
He was like a 270 the year before, I think.
No, he got released the year before because he batted like 211 because he was injured a little bit. But the year before that, he was 273.
Yeah, remember batting average.
I know.
I know. You got the Phillies starting a guy who bats 190 as a leadoff hitter.
Right.
Batting average. Isn't that important? It's important, but it's not nearly important like we used to think. Adam Dunn would have been he'd be a first team all-star these days and stuff. So
right,
with the way that with the way he hit. So his OPS has been above average in 3 of the last 4 years. So that's a more important stat anymore. He gets on base, and I think he led, maybe that was 3 years ago, he led the American League in doubles. And
it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. He led he had 42 doubles. So it's almost like a Nick Castellanos type of thing where he played at Detroit, led.
He's cheap.
Yeah, cheaper. But the more I really sit and think about it and listen to other people, what I think turned me to liking this is the fact that in 3 years, he can be gone, and still our young kids haven't reached arbitration yet.
Yeah, there's two things for me. Like, I never am upset when they had talent. So if this guy's talent, if his talent and his production even comes anywhere near $15 million a year, then I'm not going to be upset with that. And then it just, as long as it doesn't the Reds don't use it as an excuse to say we're out of money now and we can't bring a starting pitcher in. Again, until they prove otherwise, and Kroll and more it's Castellini than it probably is Kroll. I just don't trust him still. I don't care what everybody says. So, they need another starting pitcher, bottom line. And supposedly, I looked in the, reports today, they were still in the market for the guys they've been talking about, the Beavers and the
Glasgow
Wakas and some of those guys are still popping up names. They just need, bottom line, they need to add someone, and then they come out with an excuse like, well, we're out of money, we spent $87 million now, and we can't, now we're going to add Mike Minor or whatever. I don't dislike the player, I dislike what they did there. So
I agree. I think that is, talent is always good to have, depth is always good to have, especially injuries, because you just never know when something's going to happen. And this notion, Whitmire wrote in the Inquirer this morning or yesterday or whenever, saying that Ellie could start
in the minors.
There is no way Ellie Dela Cruz. You want to see a revolt in Cincinnati. If he is not on the opening day roster, they will revolt. You'd be no.
What has he got to prove? What's he got left to prove in the minors?
Nothing. None of those guys have anything left to prove in the minors. No.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get the at bats, especially if India stays, and it's sounding more and more like he said. Well, I think a big part of why I'm leaning towards him being here now. I'm sure when we talked at the end of the season, I was leaning that he wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I think the Reds overvalue his
Leadership.
They overvalue his market price. Like, other teams don't value Jonathan India. They're not giving us any kind of real starter or anything for Jonathan India. So, here we think we put him at this pedestal, whatever, and he should bring up number 2 starter. No one's one's even giving us a legitimate number 5 starter for Jonathan India.
Speaking
and
of
then, Crawl doesn't want to give up, the prospects that it would take to package with India. And heck, for all we know, teams are saying, no, that decreases the value of the deal if you put India in there. We don't want him. He's bad at defense. Yeah. He hits 250. We don't know his leadership. Like, what's that do for us? Kind of stuff. So, a 250 hitter hits 15 home runs a year. What is that in 2023?
That's 15 million. That's pretty much what it is.
Well, yeah, maybe. Indy hasn't led the league in doubles or anything yet. So
no, not yet. But he was Rookie of the Year.
And Candelaria has much more versatile in his positions and stuff. Indy has never played anything but second.
Well, India did say, the report's saying that he will go into the outfield now. He's willing.
They said first base. He's as tall as I am. What the heck?
Yeah, they're not doing first base now with Candelaria. But they did say
Candelaria probably will be some first base.
Yeah, he will be first base.
India.
Yeah, no.
India, they were talking about first base.
But they're not going to do that now with the signing of Candelaria.
Yeah,
they were
talking 5'9". What the heck?
Yeah. Hey, I can play first base.
Not in the major leagues, you cannot.
I got a good stretch,
You better go Gadget arm there.
But no.
So anyway, so I'm leaning to him being here because I just don't think that he's bringing value. I don't think that in any trade he's adding the value. I think Crawl legitimately would trade him if he brought value, but I think he's not getting anything for him. So he's not going to give up India and 2 prospects for number 5 starter.
Right.
So, you notice like in the Dylan Cease, when the rumors were up with Dylan Cease, that Jonathan India was not part of that package that they were rumoring. I think that tells you something right there. Like the White Sox were saying, we don't want him. Like, he's not helping the package.
Well, and they needed a second baseman too, because Tim Anderson's gone.
Yeah. They want Edwin Arroyo because they see, he's going to be their second baseman the next 10 years if they can get him, kind of stuff. Potentially. He's still a prospect. He hasn't done one thing in the major league. So I think that's where I'm leaning to India being here, and he's going to be a backup at a few positions, and he'll start a few days a week at second. I'm hoping that's the case because I don't want him starting, because I want McLean, the guys who are better than him, potentially. I want Encarnacion Strand, I want McLean, I want De La Cruz, I want Marte, and I want Candelario be getting way, way more at bats than Jonathan India.
Yep, I think India right field when there's a left-hander. He's our Nick Senzel, right? That's what's going to happen. He's going to probably play right field.
Senzel's going to hit like 25 home runs this year.
Yeah, I know. He's with the Guardians. He's with the old Guardians there. He gets it every day. He will. And then Candelario will probably get hurt because that's because old Ducky, our training staff is so great preparing our guys ready for it. But yeah, he'll get hurt. That's just so Cincinnati. He'll be rounding third base in spring training like Griffey, and just boom, there goes his hamstring. And it's like, great, there goes our hopes and dreams, But the one good thing is the depth. It adds another piece. And if this parlays into a trade for a frontline pitcher, I think I would be okay with that as well. Speaking of the market and stuff, let's talk a little bit. Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani. Got to say it a lot of times, get that algorithm going for us. Your thoughts on, first of all, the 10-year, $700 million contract, and then your thoughts on the Dodgers and him deferring $68 million a year.
Crazy. I can't wrap my brain around it.
So
that he's taken $2 million. That he's a $2 million player for the next whatever number of years.
And I'm surprised that I'm surprised Major League Baseball isn't stepping in, or the Players Association isn't stepping in saying, no, you've got to take more than that. But in the bargaining, the CBA, it specifically states that you can defer any amount you want, and I guess it helps both.
I just can't believe it was. I'm amazed that Shohei is willing to take $2 million a year. I mean, he's getting all that money in the back end.
Yeah, but
he's going to get all the endorsements.
Yeah, he already has like $45 to $50 million endorsements. He doesn't.
But let's say the Dodgers paid him $15 million and deferred the rest.
Right.
That's not going to affect anything with the Dodgers. Like
right.
that's not, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not going to prevent them from going out and getting whoever they want if he was willing to if he took $15 million and deferred the rest.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
well, that's why I think
Shohei's saying like $2 million. Well, that way the Dodgers can do whatever they want now. Like his salary is not going to be an impediment to anything. But if he took $15 million or $20 million season, that's not going to be an impediment to the Dodgers either. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's where I'm a little it seems weird.
I think they're trying to, go get a couple more players, obviously.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think if they paid him $15 million a year,
right,
instead of $2 million, and deferred 50, whatever it would be, 55 million, that's not stopping the Dodgers from going out and getting other players.
No. Two things, right? One is Shohei may be a lot smarter than a lot of people, because he's like, the taxes are high out in California. I want to only get taxed on $2 million. And then, when in 10 years, I will not be living in the state of California. My taxes will be, I'll make a heck of a lot more money on the back end. But
I'm sure taxes in Japan aren't cheap.
No, but what's the going rate? What's the conversion rate? Yen to dollar?
10 years, you have no idea.
You have no idea. You're right. So in 10 years, who knows? He might be a Red coming to Ohio. I don't need no money.
They're gonna take on 606 or what? No, it'll still be like $680 million will be left.
Well, no, the Dodgers have to pay that, so because he can become a free agent then, and he'll just come to the Reds and say, I'll play for league minimum. I don't need the money.
We'll see.
But yeah,
so it's rich getting richer in terms of the player, the talent. I mean, you're running, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani out, 3 of your top 4 hitters. I mean, it's great for the league. I mean, they want the Dodgers and the Yankees. I was listening to, I forget who it was, talking, one of the baseball, Jeff Passan, or one of the baseball analyst guys, and they were like, the league feared him going to the Blue Jays. They did not want him going to the Blue Jays.
Right.
Because they can't market Toronto like they can. They wanted him going to the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets. Kind of thing. So they didn't want him going the Cubs. Even the Cubs. The Cubs would have been better than the Blue Jays. But
I'd rather have them go to the Blue. I mean, I'm saying
from MLB standpoint.
You're right. Yeah,
I'm talking about from MLB.
Right,
MLB was very happy he went to the Dodgers.
Yeah. Yes, that is true, because now he can be marketed. Now he can possibly get into the playoffs.
Right.
And listening to a couple of other talking heads, they thought Ohtani, deferring after 5 years in Anaheim with arguably the best player until Ohtani arrived in Mike Trout, they never sniffed the playoffs. So maybe he said, take that $68 million, go get me Yamamoto, go get a couple of other pieces, because 2 guys can't win it all. And we need stuff. We need people.
And just for me personally, like I was a Ohtani fan, but now I can't be. So again, he's gone bye-bye for me, so I can't root for him.
Memorial Day weekend, I think it is. They will be in town. Let me see. May 24th, 25th, and 26th. The Dodgers will come here. So
get our tickets now.
Get your tickets now. So yeah.
Okay. Well,
Anything else on
no.
that? So what do you think's next for the Reds in the free agent market, if anything?
I just, I don't care how they do it, free agent or trade. We still need a higher level pitcher. We don't need number one because we won't afford that, but
Right.
but we at least need, I'd say, a number three, whoever that is. I'm hoping that's next.
Yeah.
And that's probably it. I mean, once they do that, because now that they got Candelario, they're not bringing in another fielder, field player. Maybe some cheap guys for the bullpen, wouldn't be bad. But I think the only thing that's really left is the starting pitcher.
Well, you can take one guy's name off. Ben Lively signed with Cleveland as well.
Oh, tears going.
number five starter for the Hillman Senzel.
Nick Martinez is basically Ben Lively, but actually good.
Yeah. Well, hey, Ben had some good games.
He had moments. He was a good swing guy.
Yep.
Most of or for part of the time.
Right. Yeah. Until he got injured.
So he went to the Guardians.
Yeah. He went to the Guardians. Yeah. So Hillman, Nick Senzel. We have the Reds out west with Seattle. Not anymore.
Not much anymore.
Yeah, because Winker's gone, and so is Suarez. Suarez to the Diamondbacks.
All that's left is Castillo.
Yep. And then now we've got Cleveland. We have a lot of players up there. All right. And probably a couple more if we trade for Shane Bieber. But we'll see what's next. Hopefully,
I'll be a believer, whatever you say.
Yeah, we'll have to break out with baby,
Right.
on our next podcast if that happens. All right, let's go to the Bengals now. In the week that was, we had two games. We had the Jacksonville game on Monday night. Great game, overtime victory, 34-31. And then Sunday, they came and beat the Indianapolis Colts 34-16. 64 points in two games. Jake the Snake Browning is looking like the real deal out there. I think Zach and Brian, whoever is coming up with the game plan, they are finding things that Jake likes to do, and he's excelling at. The bootleg, the naked bootleg, the throwing on the run, getting the running game involved, screen games involved, and that is how our offense should be looking when Burrow is there. Granted, I think you see the effect in the play calling that his calf injury had on him, had on this team. It sort of hampered it a little bit. And
a lot of it,
yes. And then, the thing that I didn't get to watch the game because Colorado, we had to watch the Browns and the
it was Ravens. A lot of like Jacksonville played very similar to Jacksonville.
Yeah. I was checking the scores and, we're up, 14-0. And then all of a sudden, next time I checked, it was 14-14. I went, what the heck happened there? I think it's looking good. 3 out of the next 4 games are against backups as well. And the way Jake is playing, hopefully he doesn't have the Josh Dobbs effect where after next week he starts tanking.
Yeah.
I think, he's pretty, he had a great college career. Not great enough to be drafted though, but, practice squad type of player, learned. And I think he's going to really put in the effort, put in the work, and try to get us to the playoffs. And the most, I guess, astonishing stat, is like we were 6th or 7th in the playoffs, after the 1:00 games, and then lo and behold, after the 4:00 games, we went to,
because our conference record is so bad.
It is horrible. But they said if we win, no matter what happens, if we win, we're 6th next week. We don't want to look too far ahead, but
I
don't know. Takeaways from the Monday night game / anything there?
I'll do something which I rarely do with this podcast and our talks is I'm going to credit the Bengals coaching staff and the offensive coaches at least, and they're calling better, like doing a better job play calling with Browning than they do with Burrow. And I don't know if it's just Burrow again, hero ball. Like we're just going to let it, he can figure it out and overcome our dumbness. I do know that, or just because I've heard it a few times now, like Burrow does prefer to be out of the shotgun whereas right. Browning prefers to be under center.
Yep.
And so, but I give credit to the coaches. I mean, that's, they adapted the play calling to get him under center. I mean, that's what he likes, and it's working. And the run games are working better. They've stuck to it. Now they've been, it's not like they've had some success, but it's not like they're still, Mixon's running for 150 yards kind of stuff. So they're sticking to it. They're giving, Mixon and they working Chase Brown into that. I don't know how, whatever it was 3 weeks ago, when Callahan came out with that statement about, well, we were going to work Chase Brown in, we weren't able to. Right. Well, now he's ready to run. I mean, no, that was just, that's just them not admitting that we made a mistake. So it's good they're working him in. So I think that's a positive. So yeah, give credit to the coaching staff or the offensive coaching staff. The offensive line seems to be playing better with Browning. He's not getting beat up as much as Burrow did. So if they keep that rolling, the defense played a lot better. This is kind of weird. Why all of a sudden, now the Colts aren't a juggernaut when it comes to the offense. So I'm sure that plays into it. But the Steelers weren't here, and the Steelers ran up and down the field on the Bengals, a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I mean they've got a legitimate chance to schedule, which was a worry not too long ago. I'm not as worried about it anymore. The Vikings are on the decline.
Well, yeah, Justin.
Steelers are definitely on the decline. Chiefs are on the decline, and they got the Browns, and I'm not afraid of Joe Flacco. I'll play Joe Flacco anytime.
Well, and
I'll be right back. I'm
gonna
close this down. So I'll be back in a second.
All right. He had a thing. Yeah. So just my take is, we've got chances to win all those games if we play. Our defense has to play it a little bit, especially the Kansas City game. We've got to be able to stop, I think, Mahomes and Kelsey. If we can contain Kelsey, I think we'll have a pretty good opportunity to win that game. Next week, Justin Jefferson is day to day. He took that shot to the ribs, had x-rays. They sent him to the hospital afterwards just to get some better testing done than what they have in the locker room. And, he is day to day. So you just don't know if he's going to play. Hopefully he's okay, but it would be okay if he's, dressed in street clothes on the sidelines. I would be perfectly fine with that as well. Hopefully CTB can get back this coming week because we're gonna need him here in the future, just to be that cornerback as well. So yeah, I think that the team is rallying around Jake Browning. I think everybody's stepping up their game, just because they know that their number one quarterback is down. And, I think it's part of, you got to give, credit to Zach and his culture club that they're not panicking. They're not wavering. They are, doing what they set out to do, and they still have expectations, and, they're holding everybody accountable, and, they are believing in each other. And, yeah, it was a little rocky, that Pittsburgh game, I was kind of ticked off at that just because, it's Pittsburgh, and, they were playing like crap, and they made Kenny Pickett look like an all-star. And I blame that on Lou more than anything else. But it is what it is. And then, so you got to give credit to that, because they could have fallen apart. And Tank, now we are in this position where it's like, okay, we got to go for it. I mean, we got to make the damn playoffs, because sitting at 20 for a draft pick is like,
the question is, how many are they going to have to win to get in the playoffs? Because of their conference record, they may still have to win 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I think if they can win 4 out of the next 5, I think they'll
4 out of 5. I think gets them in.
Right.
3 out of 5 is going to be borderline.
Yeah, it depends on what those 3 are. The
best loss would be the Minnesota loss, because at least it's not in conference.
Right. But you can't afford to lose that one, though. I mean, you got to get that. You got to get that one. The good thing is, Baltimore. They've got to play a couple of teams yet.
Well, we ain't catching Baltimore.
No, we're not catching Baltimore, but
we need Cleveland. They'll be losing.
Yeah, Cleveland. I can't remember who they've got next. I don't know, because they have that last place schedule. So
they need to lose.
They just need to lose. And,
whoever it is.
Yep.
They could lose anybody. Joe Flacco's your starter. They could lose anybody.
Well, they should have lost to Jacksonville, but Jacksonville shot themselves in the foot.
They're not playing very well either right now.
No, they're not. They're not. The AFC is just pretty much mediocre right now. I mean, we were should be the dominant team, but dominant conference, but they're just, if because Miami looked crappy last night, and if Baltimore is your best team, I don't know about that. If that's your best AFC hope.
Well, your three division winners still have their starting quarterback, and most of the other teams have not.
Right.
Don't even. I saw Herbert's out for the year now.
Yep. Just had to have a surgery on his finger, which helps us because they were sniffing. But I don't know. It's I like it where some of our AFC brethrens are losing because obviously we're homers. We want the Bengals to do well, and we want them to get into the playoffs and wreak havoc in the playoffs. I think if they get in the playoffs, it depends on where they go. They could do some damage. At least I hope so. All right. One other NFL news of note. Everybody's talking about it, so we might as well too. And, the Chiefs controversy. Should the ref thrown the flag? Should they not have thrown the flag? Mahomes outburst, afterwards, and now he's just saying that he's, he apologized. I shouldn't have acted like that in the heat of the moment. Those type of things. I don't know. My take on it, first of all, is I think, he was offsides. He lined up offsides 3 or 4 times, and during that game, if you watch the film, he did look at the official, but he didn't look long enough. It was just a quick glance, like the wide receivers go out there, point, and they look to get an affirmation, thumbs up or down, and then the officials will point. You got to move up towards the line of scrimmage, or you got to move back a little bit, and it was just a quick 1-second glance and lines up offsides. Flag comes out right at the start of the play. So they knew it was a flag. I don't think we're talking about this if Kelsey gets tackled right there. We're not talking about it at all. But no, he has to go throw the ball behind him, and they go in, score. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely offside. There's no doubt about that. I don't mind Mahomes getting upset about it and being a little, TO'd at the officials and stuff. I mean, he's fiery dude, which is okay with me, so I don't mind that stuff. I watched a decent amount of that game, and I was struggling because it's like, for the Bengals, it's better if the Chiefs win,
right?
But I can't root for the Chiefs. So
right.
I did still root for the Bills, even though I'm sitting there like, no, I really should be rooting for the Chiefs, but I just couldn't force myself to do it. And then the way they lost was great. So, and I guess the refs only are pro Chiefs when they play the Bengals. Because even the week before when they played the Eagles, I mean, there was a pass interference call that wasn't called, and the Chiefs legitimately it should have been pass interference, and that wasn't called towards the end of the game. So I mean, they got more job there because that really was a pass interference. This really was offside. So,
right.
So yeah,
I felt like getting into the Mahomes' DMs and saying the worst call ever. Patrick, are you kidding me? You had a third down do-over in the NFL last year. A do-over. When does that ever happen? Oh, only when you're playing the Bengals in the AFC Championship game because you're behind. And then all of a sudden you get pushed from behind. Yes, one step out of bounds. Yes, that was a late hit technically. But you look at a couple of others that happened this year, and I can't remember which quarterback was. He was like I think it might have been Herbert. He was actually like in two weeks ago. He was in both feet in the white, and he gets lit up by I can't remember who it was. No flag, nothing, and everybody's like, "Okay, Osai, the NFL owes you an apology, but it is what it is." But I'm always happy that the Chiefs lose. Yes, I wish for that game, I wish they would have beat the Bills, even though we are ahead of the Bills in the playoff hunt. But it would have been nice to have that one game separation from that. All right. I guess we go into the Minnesota game. Predictions. They might be without Justin Jefferson, like I said earlier. They're going to start their original backup quarterback, Nick Mullins, because I don't think Josh Dobbs. I think Josh Dobbs is going to be the backup again.
And he's had decent. I mean, he's not good to be a long-term starter. He's got to start 5 or 6 games. But Mullins has had some one-game success kind of stuff. I mean, He's been around with the 49ers. I remember that's who I remember him with, and he had got some wins with them. So it's not. I'm not going in being like, well, because this guy named Nick Mullins is starting. He's never played. I mean, freaking Tommy DeVito is winning games for the Giants. So Nick Mullins can win for the Vikings on a one game.
You mean Tommy Cutlet?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm still going to Bengals winning. I think they're peaking right now. They figured it out with Jake Browning from a play calling standpoint. Defense is playing better. So I'm going to go Bengals. I'm going to go Bengals 30-20.
Ooh, 10-point spread. All right. I think do you know what the line is?
No.
I thought they were 4.5.
You need to talk to your gambling friends.
Yeah,
worry about that.
Yeah. But I think the Bengals will win, especially if Jefferson is not playing. The one thing that I'm a little leery of is Ivan Pace Jr. coming back, hometown. He's having one heck of a year. He's probably going to be the defensive rookie of the year.
No surprise there.
No surprise there. But the NFL said, nope, you're too small. We're not going to draft you. Minnesota took a shot at him, practice squad, turned into a starter. And next thing you know, he is, turning the league on its head. And hopefully he doesn't have a huge game like all these former, Cincinnati products come back and, just light us up, Ian Happ for the Reds, against the Reds. And who was the Ben Roethlisberger for the Steelers. I mean, Miami grad. They're always just got the best of us. But yeah, I will go. I think the Bengals keep rolling. I think they figure something out on the offensive end. I think they'll put up. I was going to go 31-21. I like the 10-point spread there. So 31-21 Cincinnati. Put us in the playoff hunt, in the playoffs if we win this Sunday at 1 o'clock. No, it's Saturday. I'm sorry, Saturday.
Saturday at 1.
Yeah, at 1. So, all right. We're going to move on now to our trivia questions here. And if you want to participate, there's a couple of ways you can do that. First thing, if you think you know the answer, you can always log on to Instagram or Twitter at Cincy Sports Scene, and you can shoot us a direct message with the answer there. And if you are watching live on YouTube, we appreciate you. And you can always put it in the chat, your answer there as well. We come to you live all the time on YouTube. Normally it's Sunday instant reaction right after the Bengals, but tonight is a Tuesday night. We had, I was out in Colorado, like I said, and just wanted to take a little time, collect our thoughts here. Didn't want to try to rush it in the airport and stuff like that. So hopefully you appreciate that. So Sam is not here. He had last week's question. Do you remember what that was, Crawley?
Yep.
But we did answer it.
I think it was actually I do. Wasn't it the original college football playoff ranking when it first came out?
Yeah.
A bunch of random teams.
Right.
Didn't matter.
Yep. So you can go back to last week's episode and you can see that, or our producer will put up a couple of clips as well. So it would probably be up there. So Crawley, you have this week's question.
Yeah, and it was without Sam. It definitely, because it was going to be a little game actually.
Oh, okay. So
it's going to be a lot easier for you because you're not playing against Sam. So
I still would have won. No.
See.
No.
We'll never see, actually.
No, we won't. So Sam, if you're out there, call in real quick.
Yeah. So the game is where are they now?
Oh,
it's the game.
Okay.
And so I'm going to give you, and you actually already named one of them. You just happened to name him during the podcast tonight. So I had 5 recent former Reds. And you were going to sprint to see who could name where they are currently playing.
Okay. All right.
So
Cleveland.
now you're just doing it as a solo effort. So should be a little bit.
Put me on the clock. Put me on the clock.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. See if I can get it under.
Well, I'll give you the first one that you already answered because he was on my list, and that was Eugenio Suarez.
Diamondbacks. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So that was one. Where's Donovan Solano currently playing?
Ooh, that's a good one. Solano, I thought he went American League. See, I thought for some reason I'm thinking Mariners, but it's not Mariners. Is it the Angels?
Nope. It is American League.
Yeah. Well, give me the next guy. I'll keep thinking about it. I was going to say Twins, but
well, do you want to say that?
Yeah, I'll say the Twins.
Yeah, because that's right.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right.
Twins.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Okay, Travis Jankowski.
Oh, Jankowski. He was a Padre, but he's not a Padre, right?
Right.
Angels.
Nope.
Oh. Is he a Tiger?
Nope.
Oh, wait a minute. Jankowski. Oh. He's a Diamondback.
Nope.
I thought he was in the World Series or the playoffs.
He was.
So who's the other team in the World Series? It was the other team then, the Rangers.
Rangers.
Yep. Okay.
He played. He got actual at bats with the Rangers.
I knew he was. Yeah. So.
Yep. Okay, Robert Stevenson.
Ooh. Bob.
I did not know this one. When I looked, I thought I was wrong. I thought he was with the team I thought, but for like 3 years. But then he moved this past year, and I had no idea.
Isn't he with the Cardinals?
No.
Marlins.
Nope.
Nationals.
Nope. Wrong league.
Oh, is it American League?
Yep.
Tigers.
Nope. Everybody goes to the Tigers.
Everybody goes to the Tigers. Tigers are the Guardians, from the Reds or the. Let's see, where did he go? Because there was talk of bringing him back. See, I thought
he was with the Pirates. I thought he was still with the Pirates. He had been with the Pirates for about 3 years.
Yeah.
After he left the Rockies. Remember, he got traded.
Right. And then
he went to the Pirates and 2 or 3 years, but now he's with someone else.
Yeah, because I think he's free. He was either a free agent this year or last year.
He's probably a free agent again this year. But where did he play? This is 2023. Where did he play in 2023? And he pitched for this team fairly regularly. It wasn't like a 2-game appearance. Very successful team, actually.
It probably was a team we did not play.
Well, we played everybody.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we? Not the Astros.
Nope.
American League, the Rays.
The Rays,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
no idea.
That's a Rays pickup.
Right. So. Yeah. And the last one, Jeff Hoffman.
Hoffman?
Mm-hmm.
Not
who actually Robert Stevenson was traded for.
Right. Hoffman. Oh gosh, he's still playing.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe you were going to say Kevin Gausman, because
no, you better know that one. No, Hoffman's pitched pretty well this year. Middle relief.
Wow. I lost track of him. For good reason, I guess. But I am going to say Kansas City Royals.
Nope.
No, dang.
And I'm not going to give you this one. We'll leave this one hanging for anybody that wants to send in a message.
All right.
Maybe Sam will listen.
I'll take one more.
You got another guess?
Yeah, I'll go another guess just because. I will say the Florida Marlins.
No.
All right. So
Johnny
Cueto did. Yeah. So if you know where Jeff Hoffman is and you want to play, go ahead and send us a direct message on Instagram or Twitter at Cincy Sports Scene. We'll read your answer on the air, give you props, those things like that. Or you can, right here on YouTube, just put it in the comments when the producer puts up the clip for it. All right. Next week, I'll have trivia as well. All right, so our topic of the week, since it was the Crosstown Shootout, we are going to be ranking the 5 best basketball players from the Bearcats and the Musketeers. Sam, I would have loved to seen his perspective on the UC side, who he thought the 5 were, since he is a little younger generation, growing up, in the 2000s and watching them versus us, those type of things. So, and I think unequivocally we could say Oscar Robinson is the number 1 basketball player from this area. I think we could probably say, I'd probably be safe to say
he was on my UC list.
Yeah, I think he was probably number 1 on your UC list because he's probably
number 1 at either list.
Yes. So I've got Oscar up there, but I had that notation that that was a given. So I have an honorable mention on both sides, just because 5 could be tough. So think what we'll do is just go back and forth. You want to start on the UC side, or you want to start on the Xavier side? And
let's do UC since you just said Oscar.
All right, so go ahead. Give me somebody who you have.
I have number 2, Kenyon Martin, player of the year. Unfortunate broken leg, derailed the team hopes. Played 4 years with the UC, got better every single year. Ended up being the number 1 pick in the draft. So, tried him second.
Yeah, that's who I had as well as number 2. I could have went old school, but I saved that for a little later.
So who was your next guy?
My next guy, I went with Nick Van Exel for number 3 overall.
Yeah, I ended up kind of looking at things a certain way, like with UC, I guess more so than with Xavier. Like, I actually didn't put Van Exel on there, and I love Van Exel, but he only played 2 years with UC. So one of my things was, and because every list you look at there, and he is on the top 5, and I get that. If I'm just using those 2 years, but he only played 2 years, so I went with guys that have played more than 2 years. I contributed more than 2 years. UC has a lot of good history.
Yep.
50s and 60s. So I actually had a couple guys from that era. I didn't just stick to recency guys bias. So my number 3 was Jack Twyman. Everything I read about him, he was a stud, almost 25 points a game and double doubles every year and all kinds of stuff. So I actually put him in, even though he's played in the mid 50s. So
yeah, I've got Jack on my honorable mention. I could have slid him up. I didn't want to go too old school, because I could have went 3, boom, boom, boom. I could have went Oscar 1, Jack 2, and then, Kenyon 3, and then another guy 4. But I was like, I went with Nick because I think he was pretty good. He ran that show for Bob from Huggy Bear.
He was actually a 6th man the first year, more so than he was a starter until as the year went on, he eventually started. But the final 4 year.
Yep. So who's your number 4?
Danny Fortson.
Huh. Ding, 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 ding. That's who I have.
Yeah.
Danny Fortson.
Yeah. He was, again, carried, those teams, after the Final Four teams, that Van Exel, Corey Blunt years and stuff. And, Fortson in between them and the Kenyon Martin years. So carried them and, they were highly ranked in those years and had some really good wins. And so I had Fortson, and he's highly ranked in terms of points and rebounds and stuff. So I had him 4th.
That's who I had as well. And then my 5th one is
the 5th one I had to flip a coin for.
So my 5th was, I went somebody when I first started watching UC basketball. They were on Channel 19, in the Metro Conference, and this guy holds. I think he might still hold the all-time, at least for the season, 3-point shooting at 47%. And I went with Roger McClendon.
Did you?
Yeah, I went because that was the first.
More of a personal thing.
It was more of a personal. Yeah, he was on a couple of lists, but not top 10. But I just think McClendon during the Tony Yates years, right?
I remember. Yeah, I remember him.
He was the one reason to watch UC basketball because he would score 20 points a game, 25 points a game, shooting those threes. And this is when the 3-point line wasn't, standardized across college basketball like it is today. Because I can remember in the early 80s in the Big Ten, they had a 3-point line, but it intersected in between the free throw line and the top of the key. So it was a lot shorter than it was today. But yeah, McClendon was just, he was a pure shooter, and I really liked Roger.
The Metro.
Yeah, the Metro Conference with Louisville.
Yeah. So I went another old school guy. I was like, well, it's people. I mean, people that are UC fans know this, but the general public definitely assumes that when UC won the national championship back to back, that Oscar Robinson was the star of that team. And that's what's crazy about it is he didn't even play anymore. He had already moved on to the NBA.
Yep.
It's like, so I was like, well, when UC won 2 back-to-back national champions, like I'm gonna look and see who the players. I mean, who was there. And so I actually, again, old school. I went Ron Bonham. He averaged 25 points a game, 6 rebounds in his best year. All-American twice. Was on both national championship teams. So I went with him as the star of those teams. Yeah. Even though it doesn't make any sense that Oscar Robertson wasn't the star.
I know. That's just team. Poor Oscar never won a championship till he got into the NBA, right? With Milwaukee, because he lost to Milan. And then they lost to Ohio State both years, right?
Yeah.
So
that's what I went with.
Yeah, my honorable mention was, Jack Twyman. I had to have him on the list somewhere. So just because he's probably top 3 UC players of all time. All right. Moving over to the Xavier side, something's interesting. I mean, at least out, from my list. Now I'll save it for when we're done because I don't want to give anything away. But where are you going? Number 1.
Number 1 was the easiest one, David West.
Oh, okay.
For me, that was the kind of overall team success. Just all the things he did there. When I was at Xavier, my couple years, that's when he was there, and so
recency bias.
Well, he's still 20 years ago. Whatever, 25. It's actually 25 years ago. Not real recency anymore. So I actually for the Xavier list, I had no recency bias, which I guess I didn't for the UC list either.
Right.
I mean, Kenny Martin's my most recent player. So yeah, for the Xavier list, the same thing. David West would actually probably he was the most recent player I had on the top 5. So
wow.
So I had West first. I'm guessing you had BL as your number 1.
I had Larkin. I mean, I think he's the one that, when Pete Gillen was there, I mean, he was the one that got him going. A pure scorer. I mean, the guy could get in that lane, pull up on stop on a dime, pull up and drain the shot quick as lightning. A great player and, a great person. Little side note, a couple of these guys on the list, they used to come to my high school and scrimmage. And, everybody would come and watch, the fans would come and watch and stuff like that. And then afterwards, the basketball team, the varsity team and Xavier, we would go out and eat. We would go to a little place in Morris, Indiana called Red's Oasis. It's not there anymore, but it was probably the best fried chicken in southeastern Indiana at that time, and in 87, 88. We'd go sit and we would be sitting. I was between Larkin and Kimbrough and eating Red's chicken, and it was great listening to stories and just talking to them, picking some brains about basketball and what they're looking at and things like that. It was just a great experience. So a little personal recent bias, but I think overall, I mean, still the leading scorer. And I know David West had a better NBA career, but I think Larkin's the one that helped put Xavier on that map, especially after the Bob Stack days. So that's who I had. Number 2, I had David West, just because of everything you said, and because I think he was the one that took him over the hump, right? And Larkin got him to the hump. David West took him over the hump.
Yeah, I had Larkin number 2.
Okay. Who'd you have for 3?
I had Brian Grant. For me, it was Brian Grant or the other guy.
Yeah.
Another tall guy.
Yep.
That it was going to be 3 versus 4, and so I went with Brian Grant.
I went with Brian Grant as well at 3. So I just think he was a really good player. And at my 4, I went with James Posey at 4.
Okay.
I think he was probably a little bit more versatile, obviously more versatile than you're probably number 4. But I think, Posey just did, I liked him at college, and he had decent success in the NBA. So I think he would be your 4th. Oh, what's going on there? We got.
I don't know what just happened there.
A little commercial. Commercial break. This show's sponsored by. No. Who'd you have for number 4 there?
I went with Tyrone Hill for number 4. One of my early memories of I was a big Georgetown basketball fan, and but from Patrick Ewing on, but I really liked him in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, whatever. Alonzo Mourning, and when Dikembe was there with Georgetown, and I remember going up against Xavier and the twin towers of Xavier, Tyrone Hill and Derek Strong. And Xavier won, of course, which did not make me happy. But I remember that, but they kind of dominated that game too. So Tyrone Hill was my number 4.
Yep. And who was your number 5?
I went with another one that's kind of imprinted on my memory, and I mentioned him earlier in the podcast here. He was not top. He was top, some top 15 lists or whatever, but he's, the analyst didn't have him there, but he, for what he did against UC in one particular game, he stands out more than, it's kind of like Tyrone Hill, how he stands out against Georgetown.
Right.
So this guy stands out for me against UC, and he had good numbers. I mean, overall career good numbers too. Was Lenny Brown. I put him 5. I think he, maybe the most important shot in Xavier history. From Lenny Brown. So I put him 5.
Yeah. I actually had Tyrone King of the Hill at 5. And then I had a honorable mention. Blewett was my honorable mention guy, because I was like, I got a lot of bigs on this list. Xavier has a lot of bigs.
Right.
And I did ask the famer, Miller, who her 5 were, and she said, "Oh, that's a good one." But I mean, she pretty much named Larkin, West, Grant, Posey, Blewett, Hill. She just kept rattling them off. She's like, "Ooh, I don't know who would." She goes 1, 2, and 3 is pretty easy, but once you got down to 4 and 5, she's like, that could be tough. It just depends on what you're looking for. So,
right, yeah.
So yeah. So if you have, go ahead and rank your top UC players and Xavier basketball players for us. Give us a shout out on Instagram or YouTube here, or even Twitter at Cincy Sports Scene. Tell us who we left off, who we should have probably put in. I know for the UC fans, Tony Yates, didn't make it the list here, but he was a heck of a basketball player for him as well. But, I think Sam would have had some recency bias, especially for the UC side. But, he's not here tonight for his opinion. Maybe we'll get it next week when we reconvene. All right. What do you think? If we take both of these teams, who would be the top 5 out of both? I mean, who do you have? Who would you be, if we combine UC and Xavier, which one would you have?
Yeah. I mean, Oster obviously is
right
top of the list. I think Kenyon Martin's for sure going to be on there.
Yep, that's 2.
I think Byron Larkin and David West would be on the top 5.
4.
And then you go to the 5th one. I think here, do you do, based on just like the stats, it'd be Jack Twyman for me at least.
Right.
But I mean, he played in the 50s, so it's, it's like one of those things, from there. So then it would, you had Van Exel, as a possibility. Brian Grant, Fortson, I think it kind of comes down to those guys.
Yeah.
Who would be the
Tyrone
fifth.
Hill,
Yeah, but I think we had Grant before.
Yeah, we did.
We both had Brian Grant above him, and I would probably put Danny Fortson above Tyrone Hill too. So
yeah, I probably would too. Looking at it, you've got your point guard in Larkin, you got your off guard and Oscar, you got your bigs and Kenyon and Wes. So you need a swing guy.
that's none of those guys.
That's none of those guys where Posey comes into play, or Twyman, right? And then the coach, who would you have as your coach? Would it be Huggy Bear, or would it be Prosser or Sean Miller?
That's a good question. None of them won national championships.
No.
Only Huggy Bear got to the Final Four.
Who was the coach for the Bearcats when they?
Off the top of my head, they actually won the national championships.
Yeah. So he would probably be up there, I would think.
Somebody listening to this would know right away.
They probably would. And I may be. I don't think I'm wrong on this, but I could be.
Tony Yates was on the team.
Yeah, Tony Yates was on the team. I know.
Ed
Junker. That's right. Yep. Yeah. So he's probably because he was a pretty good, really good coach. I should have known that.
I was going to say,
I should have known that.
2 national championships and made it third.
Yeah. Yeah. But and he did a lot of did some big camps too, with his name on it as well. But I can't remember where I was going with this, but oh well, it is what it is. I lost my train of thought. I have to rewatch it. Now I remember. Sandy Koufax. I know he went to UC, played baseball, but I also thought he played basketball 1 year. I could be wrong on that. I know he only played 1 year at UC. I thought he was a basketball/baseball player for him. Hall of Famer, Cy Young Award winner, Bearcat. All right. That pretty much wraps up the show for tonight. Next week, probably come to you Sunday. It'd have to be kind of early in the day on Sunday, I think. Check with Crawley and Sam, but we're having an open house Sunday evening, so we're going to have to, we can't do our normal 4:30, 5 o'clock on a Sunday, so it might have to be like closer to 1. But we'll let you know when we're going to be on. But it will probably be Sunday instead of Saturday, instant reaction type thing. And then we've got our Christmas special coming up. So we are going to give out some gifts. We're going to play Santa, and we're going to give out some gifts to Cincinnati area people, players, teams, whatever. And then we're also probably going to put some coal in some stockings of some Cincinnati area teams and players. So you want to stay tuned and find out what we have in store, who's been good and who's been naughty and who's been nice for this year for the Cincy sports scene. All right. Once again, you can find us live at YouTube on Cincy Sports Scene and anywhere across all the podcasting platforms. We're there. You can find us on your favorite podcasting platform. Just type in Cincy CSS or Cincy Sports Scene, and it should pull you up. We have the orange logo with the skyline in the back. So, any other thoughts, Crawley, before we get out of here?
No. Just hope Bengals can keep it rolling, and both basketball teams moving forward can have a good last couple of weeks for the break and go from there. So yeah, I
echo those same sentiments. So good luck to all the teams in action. And I don't think we have a live update yet on the Bearcats. Do you got anything?
I can't check my phone.
Oh yeah, so I'll check it. I'll pull it up real quick here, before we leave here. We can give you guys an update. Let's see here.
This said 16-12 UC with 9:46 left.
All right, so 16-12 UC, 9:46 left at 7:30 at night. All right, so until next week, and once again, we'll be letting you know, coming to you Sunday afternoon sometime with our Christmas special. Crawley will dress up as Santa Claus, and Sam can be the elves. Until next week, for Sam and Crawley, I'm Dave. Take care, everybody.
See ya.